I just want to achieve something great. I want to do something that counted. I want to do something that mattered. And I know a lot of people feel like that. I feel like that's how most people are. That's how most people feel about the world and just existence. I mean, once you get to a certain level where you're no longer just existing to exist, or if you're out of like a life that's full of struggle, because I understand that some people, how they grow up, not everything was easy, you know, so things just were hard, and then on top of that, once they got out of it, they got into a harder position, so things were never easy. And so people who are born in that position or live in that position, they may never start to actually get to that level of introspection where they're actually trying to see themselves in the future doing something that matters, doing something that counts, or they don't even think that their life will ever be worth something that matters. I think for me, I was lucky. I was blessed enough to really just always feel like I could do whatever it was that I wanted to do. Like, just like achievement was in my path as long as I stuck to it. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, which I kind of realized becoming an adult, that doesn't really mean anything if you don't do anything about it. So like, yeah, everyone could have said like, oh, this kid's gonna go places, or he's gonna be able to figure things out, or got a good head on his shoulders. You know, you hear that one a lot. But at the same time, just because everyone else is calling it doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. Like, nothing's guaranteed. And I think that I learned that lesson really well, because when I left to the military and I got out of my parents' house for the first time, and I thought, you know, hey, I was gonna figure it out. I was becoming a millionaire in 24 months or 12 months or whatever it was gonna take. I was gonna be able to do it all. Of course, in reality, that's not how it worked out. Like, it didn't work out like that at all. I don't want to speak from a position where it feels like I already figured it out, or I already made it, or anything like that. And I'm really just making this video because I feel like I want to be honest about where I'm at, and also I want to create something like before I actually get to my goals, because I'm nowhere close to where I want to be. As I've climbed along, I'm at a level now where I've kind of proven that when I say I'm going to do something, I can do it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm at where I want to be. So when I think about it, all right, let's say I take everything that I had kind of wanted since I was young. You know, it's like Virgil Abloh says, like, I do everything for my younger self, for my 17-year-old self, and it's the same exact way for me. Like, I never lost that young ambition that I had when I was a kid. Like, from the time I was 13 years old, I put on Facebook, like, I want to do something big with my life. I want to like be great. I want to be remembered. I want something in my life to matter. I want it to count. And I was like 13, and that just never went away from me. And a lot of my friends, I looked at them, I saw what they were up to, I saw what they were doing. As time went on, reality set in for them, and I could see in them that it was different now. Like, they didn't necessarily believe those things anymore. They didn't think it was possible, or they didn't want to achieve, or it wasn't easy. And so because it wasn't easy, it wasn't real. I wouldn't say that there was anything super special about me, except for the fact that I just wanted it bad, and I really just had that self-belief that whatever I put my mind to, I can do it. So if we were to fast forward some time, even going back a little bit, what I wanted was, I didn't just want to have a lot of money. Like, I wanted to create a life for myself where I felt like I earned that ultimate freedom. Like, I created a freedom for myself that was something that I could be proud of. It was a life that I created. I don't want to say manifested, because it takes work and it's not something you just get, but it's definitely something that I had put my mind to for years. I had visualized it. My visualization levels are through the roof, because I see things not just for what I want them to be, but I see them in detail. So when I think about the future, I'm thinking about, what does my mansion look like? What's inside my kitchen of my mansion? What's inside the fridge in my kitchen of my mansion? I want to have an aesthetic fridge. I want to have water set up in a way that when you open it, it's all color coordinated. I want to have special drinks. I want to have things in there that it's like, you know, every single thing has been paid attention to, because that's the type of person I am anyways. But I would also like to create a future where those things exist because I actualize them. So having that belief in myself, and then when I think about the future and when I visualize, I try to see things crystal clear. I'm definitely not in the beginning of my journey, and I do wish that I would have made this video a long time ago, because I think it would have been even that much more impactful. But I guess you just get busy doing stuff that you don't actually take the time to do it, and you actually just forget about it. You say, I'll make that video one day, I'll make that video one day. And now's as good a time as ever, because I'm feeling hungry again. And you kind of go through ebbs and flows in life where you're hungry, you're not hungry, you want to chase it, you want to get after it, and then all of a sudden it goes away. It goes away for a while, and then you're like, dang, was I ever that serious? Was I ever that committed? Did I ever care about it that much? Something happens in your life and you're reminded, like, nah, I was meant for more than this. I want it still. Like, it's not over for me. I'm still writing my story. And then if you can get back in that zone, and I've got methods that I can tell you guys about how to get in that zone, but that's for another video, that's for another time. Right now, what's just important is to see, no matter what, it's the mindset that's really carried me through every level. And I say right now, I'm probably like, if there was 10 levels in the game, or let's just say 100 levels in the game, I'm like level 10 or level 15 or something like that. Like, that's really how I see it. Like, I'm just now starting to climb. I'm definitely no longer in the beginning. I joined the military because I knew that was going to give me an opportunity to really chase dreams. Like, because I used to throw parties back in high school, and that's how I made a lot of money back in high school. I was throwing parties and doing stuff on the weekends, and that's how I got all my bread. And I was thinking, like, all right, what can I do after this? And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. My pops gave it to me when I was like 13. He gave me that book when I was 13, and I swear that book changed my life. I recommended it to all my friends. Anybody who wants to learn money, who wants to learn business, who wants to get after it, that book right there is gonna, basically the entrepreneur's Bible is what I call it, because it's gonna tell you the guide on what it means to accumulate assets and how to really grow your wealth. One thing about how I grew up is that it was never just about the money, especially I grew up in a Christian household, so it wasn't just about getting as rich as possible. I'd like to say that my dad, you know, influential person in my life, he's also like got that philosophical mind, and I think that was given to me as well, because for me, I'm a big philosopher. So like, it wasn't enough to just get rich. It wasn't enough to just make money. I got hungry about it, but it's really because I want to live the best life I could possibly live. Like, I want to go all the way. I want to push my limits. I want to see my true potential. I want to max it out. So if you ask me, what does that look like? I knew from the day I left my house that I wanted to make as much money as possible. I wanted to get big. I used to be 150 pounds. Now I'm just about 200 pounds. I'd say between 10 and 15% body fat. And for me, that's still not enough, because when I actually got there, it's crazy. You know, I was 150. I put on 50 pounds. And because I'm, you know, a taller guy, 6'2", the weight really didn't make me look big. It just kind of put me from super skinny to like a normal weight, which is crazy. Just this week, which is one of the reasons I'm inspired to make this video, is that I decided to take it to the next level, because, you know, I was kind of plateaued, stuck at 200 for a while. And I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get a coach. And that's one of the things that I'd recommend a lot of people do, is that they go ahead and get coaching for whatever level. If you can afford it, try to find somebody who has that information and just buy it from them. Immediate, skip levels, skip steps, you know, and that's how a lot of people do it in life, is that the people who make it are the ones who have skipped levels. And people think that you need to take a traditional route. If you look at anybody at the top, they're always going to have some creative way that they finesse their way into the situation that they are now. It's never that they followed the path that everyone else is on, because the competition is too high. It's hard to stand out when everyone's doing the same thing. You know, that was one of the other things I wanted to read. I wanted to be a Renaissance man. Like, what does that mean? To me, the Renaissance man is someone who kind of embodies everything about being a man, everything about manlyhood, about stoicism, philosophy, art, style, fashion, finance, fitness. Like, I wanted to be the embodiment of all things. Instead of just one-dimensional, I want to be multifaceted. And so how can I do that? It wasn't obvious in the beginning. Even when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it wasn't obvious that I knew exactly how to make money. I had to try a million things. I had every job in the book. I was like, I don't even know. I tried selling candy in school. Like I said, I used to throw parties. I tried wholesaling real estate, Airbnb. I tried working odds and end jobs. I tried DoorDash. I tried to start an online business. I tried to do, drop shipping, everything. There's literally no job I don't think I haven't done that I've tried to work. I mean, I tried to do car detailing businesses, just get my hand in everything. And of course, like, the more things you try, as long as you're paying attention and you keep changing it and you keep focusing on what it is that you need to do, you make iterations. So through every reiteration, you get a little bit better, but you have to be focused on it. You can't just do things mindlessly. You can't do things nonchalant. You have to pay attention. You have to see how it makes you feel. You have to see what type of results you get. Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of things that I quit, but I quit fast. Like, I learn what I do and don't like. And if I know I'm not going to stick with it, I know how to move to the next thing fast enough to where I can actually get some traction. After reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and seeing that there was opportunity, that the reality of becoming rich is really something that's in my hands. It just depends on my education, my work ethic, my hunger about it. From then on, it was really just about gaining knowledge, gaining that information that I didn't have. And the more knowledge that I could gain, I mean, I'm telling you, I was hungry. I met some guy, he said he did real estate. When I first joined the military, he was a retiring master sergeant, gave a speech and said, oh yeah, I'm gonna get into real estate. And he didn't really even know much about real estate, but he knew more than me. So I went up to him right at the end. I said, hey, let me take you out to lunch. I'd love to talk to you, love to pick your brain. And I kid you not, 6 months later, when I told him, I said, listen, I'm gonna start buying property and I'm gonna rent it out and I'm gonna start making money that way. I'm gonna build my passive income. 19 or 20 at the time. He's like, okay, well, you give me a call when you do it. And I kid you not, 6 months later, I'm grinding. I'm trying to do everything to figure it out. And I give that man a phone call. I said, hey, listen, I'm ready to move onto a property. Let's meet up again. And I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for. And so that's kind of how I got my start, is that I joined the military because I knew I was going to be able to save money and use the benefits of the military to get me into what I thought at the time was my path, which was real estate, because that's what Rich Dad Poor Dad is always talking about, is that you need to get into real estate. You need to invest in assets. And the only assets that the book really talk about are going to be finance in things like the stock market, or real estate as in buying land and buying property and renting it out. And then they also tell you about owning a business, and they tell you about running a business and starting a business. What I ended up finding out was something much, much greater, which is the highest lever you can pull. It's the top tier of business. Nothing in business beats this level of business, this strategy. And what it is basically buying businesses. Everyone's going to talk about starting a business. Everyone's going to talk about running a business. Everyone's going to talk about scaling a business, but no one tells you about buying the business yourself. So once I found that out through lots and lots and lots of research, it kind of opened the door for me. And the reason I found it out is because I was looking at all the best guys in the game, right? Because I'm always studying. Like, I spent 4 years in the military going crazy on podcasts, books. I got a crazy stack of books and podcasts that are just in my room. And I had, even when I was in the military, I built a bookshelf in my room because I wanted to have as much information as I could devour within those 4 years, because I knew it was my learning time. I knew it was time for me to basically go all in on myself. So I was going to Bible study a few times a week. I needed to work on my social skills. I was going out 4 times a week. My dressing, how do I dress? I got into colognes. I wanted to see, like, what is the best scents? Like, what are ways that I can create a version of myself? Because I know he's out there. I know there's a version of Raven, he's the final version of me, and I'm the current version of me. So how can I make those two align? What would that version of me be doing right now? What would that version of me, how would he live? And it goes back to that visualization I was telling you guys about, like, what are the things that need to happen in my life for me to get there? And the more I thought about it, like, the more real it becomes. I'm like, you know what? This person is real. I'm not him yet, but I know he exists. All I have to do is get small wins under my belt to start proving it. Going back, I made that first deal in real estate. I had to be smart about it because I couldn't even afford that property. I was still living in the military dorms, and I was like, no, I got to figure out a way to make this work. I got to figure out a way to finesse this situation to where I can really get into real estate, even though I don't have the money. So I found a way where basically I was able to get the loan for a real low down payment, just paying closing costs, using the VA loan and some other strategies and some other savings, right? Just to barely squeak by. Like, I kid you not, I couldn't even afford, once I bought the house, I couldn't even afford the refrigerator after I closed the deal. It was literally just getting the loan. I had to pay the down payment, or I had to pay the closing costs out of pocket, and I had to have my realtor, yeah, it's funny. I had to have my realtor basically just argue with the people who were selling the property to be able to get me a refrigerator and some other utilities in the house. So then that way I could actually live there day one, because they didn't want to sell the house with the fridge. It was a brand new build. And they argued for me, and I ended up getting it. So thank God for them, because without the opportunity, I would have been taking an L from the very first deal, right? And that would have just set me back. So you have to have a lot of luck in the game. You have to try a lot of things, but getting lucky is like it's so misunderstood. Like, people don't understand how much luck you need. Like, people they underestimate the value of luck. And of course, I believe you create your own luck. You can create luck by putting yourself in a position to receive more luck, but still you have to go out there and get it. And so with that being said, I realized that I couldn't just put the house on a rental and start renting the whole unit, because it wouldn't be able to pay the mortgage, because in the area, the rental costs didn't make enough to cover the mortgage. So what I had to do is I moved into one of the rooms, right? And then I rented out the other 3 rooms. Even though it's just a 4-bedroom house, I basically house hacked, right? And I took 4 rooms and I split it up between me and 3 other guys in the military. And so I took the master, I rented out the rooms to my friends, and I kind of had to beg them, like, hey man, this is a great opportunity. Trust me, you're gonna want to live here. You want to be out of the dorms. And so I could just finesse 3 other guys to do it. And they finally did. They were hungry about it. And so they allowed me to go out there and they took a chance on me, which I'm appreciative of that, because I definitely, at every level, I see, like, there's people who saw that my hunger about it. And that's the thing too, guys. Like, by you being hungry about something, by you being more motivated than everyone else, people want to believe in you. They want to believe in someone like that, because they don't see it often. So when I showed them, like, I'm going to get this house, or I'm going to move us all in, we're going to have a great place to live, we're going to be out of the dorms in the military, trust me, we can do this. And basically from that point on, I had a little group with me who were able to move in, and that kind of gave me the security I needed to pull the trigger on the deal. And I bought that first house, and I moved those guys in, and I ended up, to this day, cash flowing on that property anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a month. And that was my first big win, because I was trading stocks. I remember I blew up my whole account. I was trading stocks for a year. At one point, I was on top of the world. I made $20,000 in a month, just to literally buy a Mercedes, and a couple months later blow up my whole account. 50 G's gone. I never saw that money again through that trading style, because I was trading weeklies, I was trading 0 DTE, I was doing options. I was studying the game as much as anyone possible. And I used to even sell, like, training to my other guys, because I used to study so much. I teach other guys how to do it. And it's funny, I probably made people more money than I made myself, because I taught other people how to do it with a little bit of a safer strategy. And I was taking the most risk. So I told people, listen, put $5,000 in the account. If I can double it to $10,000, you pay me $1,000. And I thought that was a good deal, and a lot of people took it up. So a couple of my friends took me up on the deal. I built their accounts up to 10K, and I get paid a couple thousand from each of those deals. So like I was saying, like, I've tried everything. Like, there's not a job out there that I haven't done. Like, I used to have people come over to my house, and I basically do like a training seminar, and I used to do slideshows, and I'd show people, like, this is how you can make money with this. This is how you can make money with real estate. This is how you can create opportunity for yourself. And so with that too, there was a lot of ups and downs. It was never linear. And that's one thing I want to get across, like, I'll get to where I'm at today, but I really want everyone to get across is that it was never a linear path. It was always as though every time I thought I was going to achieve something, it almost never worked out. I'd say 99% of the time I thought I was going to achieve something and it doesn't work out. Like I'm just taking loss on loss on loss on loss, but every loss is teaching me more about myself. Like I'm not even learning more about business. I'm not even learning more about money. I mean, I am in the way of studying the books and learning the philosophy, but I'm not actually making enough money to learn anything about growth and the economic realities of accumulating wealth, right? So what am I learning though? I'm learning about me. I learned something like I used to come from my dorms after work, and I used to cold call for wholesaling, and I'd call people all day. I did it for months and months and months, and I almost got a couple deals through. And I think after month 3 or 4, I was like, you know what? Why am I doing this? I'm doing this, okay, to make money, right? It was supposed to be an opportunity for me to, really put the work in, really grind, and really turn a profit for myself. And so when I thought about that, I realized that I didn't like it. And of course, it's so simple. Like, of course, Raven, like, if you don't like it, like, why are you doing it? But like, that was really a learning moment for me, because I realized that I'm not going to do something that I don't want to do anymore for money. It's not worth that. And I'm not saying follow your passion. I'll never be the one to say that, because I chose, I wanted to get into fashion. I wanted to get into music. That's the type of person I was at 17, 18. But I made up in my mind what I wanted to do first was get financially free, because I think that was what in the end was the most important to me. So with that being said, I went ahead and I put my passions to the side, and I chased finance. I chased the money, and also becoming, a well-rounded, the Renaissance man I was referring to earlier. There was basically all those ups and downs, and nothing was linear, and I'm failing left and right. But for each time, I'm learning more and more and more about myself, until I created a kind of like a working philosophy of how I wanted to create wealth for me. And I want to do things that I'm interested in, that I can get hungry about, that I can want to chase, that I can want to learn, that I can want to devour. And so with that being said, that right there, that one decision alone cut out half or 95%. Well, those aren't even close. So either I'm cutting out 50% or I'm cutting out 99% of basically all the time wasters, because it's funny to me. I used to see, I still see a lot of my friends who are just getting on their financial journey, and they'll talk to me about like where they're at in business, and I see they're doing things like just to try to make money. They'll call me about Amazon FBA or drop shipping or creating some website where they can sell a software or something like that, or create a clothing brand online. And I just know that, they're doing it for the funds, they're doing it for the paper, which I get, because I was right there myself. But there's another level that they need to get past that, which they realize I'm going to stop chasing things just for the money alone, and I'm going to start doing things that I can stay interested about, that I can be hungry about, that I can create a desire in myself that will push me past motivation, because motivation is never enough. Work ethic is never enough, because you run out of everything. No one is the most disciplined person all the time. Like, there's a break in who you are, and you have to come to terms with who you are yourself. You need to come to terms with realizing your limitations. Now, of course, I hate limitations. If I could break all limitations for myself, like, that is my goal. The person, the Raven B that is out there somewhere, that person has damn near no limitations, but I'm not him yet, right? So let me be realistic, because if me being pragmatic about who I am, that will help me get to where I want to go faster. And so if I'm able to be realistic about me, then I can say, all right, let me stop chasing things that I know I'm not going to stick with, because to me, that's just a time waster. Let me think ahead. Well, I know that I think I'm going to make money from this, but I know I'm not going to stick with it for more than 6 months. So what are the chances of me making $1 million off this in 6 months? All right, it's 0. All right, so then I need to find something else that's going to motivate me past those 6 months, those 3 months. And there's a lot of lessons I learned along the way. And one of those lessons was like this 90-day speed run, where you basically, I've seen on TikTok, people are kind of catching up to the idea. They'll say a training arc. They'll call it a training arc. And I like that. That's cool. So basically 90 days is just long enough for you to change your life, right? Because every time I accomplished something for myself, it was always in a 90-day sprint. It was never that I basically worked for years and years and years and then I did something. It was that I got very, very, very motivated, very, very, very dedicated. And for 90 days, I put everything I had into getting it done, right? And as time goes on, that 90 days actually expands. You can go 60 days to 90, and then you go from 90 to 180, and you can end up going a whole year straight if you really build up that work ethic, right? And that's where kind of Ray Dalio talks about like what the curve looks like on getting to your goals, is that it's always up and down like this. But as long as, up and to the right is your direction, you end up winning, right? So it's always gonna be up and down, but as long as you end up and to the right, that's your direction. And so even when I bought my business, it took me 8 months of a sprint to get it done. So, you know, you can see the progress of 90 days. So the first property I ever bought, I'm looking at houses. I'm hustling every day. I'm going door knocking. I'm trying to find, you know, people to sell me their property, see if I can get a deal out there. And I actually found, my agent didn't even find me the property. I found them the property and I gave it to my agent. I told him, I want this house, help me buy it. Right? Because that shows you what type of time I was on. I was way more hungry than my agent even was. He was moving too slow for me, but you know, I was hungry to get after it. And so I found him the deal and I told him, this is what I want to buy. Let's make it happen. And so it worked out. And that was a 90-day sprint. And that taught me something about those 90-day sprints, is that you got to bite off something that you can actually chew, right? You have to chase something that's manageable for you. And so not only is it that you just need to do those 90-day sprints, but the reason why they matter is because you can't go much longer than that without the work ethic, and you have to build that up. And on top of that, you also need those small wins. Like every time someone tells me, hey, Raven, I'm stuck in a rut. I just feel like I can't progress, or like things aren't going my way. I tell them, listen, I know exactly where you're at, because I thought, for real, I think there was one day in my life when I really thought I wasn't going to make it at all. Like I was like, you know what, maybe this isn't cut out for me. Like maybe I lied to myself. Maybe when I was younger, I was just a foolish kid who didn't understand, you know, how hard it was going to be to really make it. And for one day I sat on that thought. And I think the next day I told myself, I was like, so what? You know what I mean? Because it's like, regardless if that's true, if I was just some ignorant kid who didn't know anything, what's my alternative? To not try, to not go for it? Either way, my life is limited. I have however many thousands of weeks until my life is over forever. I exist for this one blink of time in all of eternity. I exist right now. Like what else do I have to lose? What are my other options? And that was the last time I ever had that thought. It was done after that. After that, I was locked in. I was like, whatever it takes, get rich or die trying, right? And so, you know, that small win of getting that first deal got me to where I started to believe, okay, I put my mind to something, I went after it, I did the work, and I actualized it. I now own a property. I'll put a picture of the house that I bought. And I was, I forgot, I was 20 or 21 years old when I finally closed the deal. And I was like, I literally had this idea in my mind. I focused on it. I put the pieces together. I studied. I worked hard for it. And I did that 90-day sprint. And I was able to get to the next level. And it was the same in working out. Like every time I wanted to get big, it was never like, all right, in 2 years, I'm going to put in all this weight. And I'm just going to stick with it for 2 to 4 years. And I'm going to gain 50 pounds of muscle. No, it didn't work out like that. How it worked out was, I told myself, all right, all I'm going to do is I'm going to have a goal for myself, 90 days. I'm going to do a 90-day challenge where I'm going to hit the gym nonstop. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to get dialed. I'm going to focus up. I'm going to lock in. And whatever I can do in 90 days, I'm going to push myself and we'll see where I go. But that's my goal, 90 days. I'll say 10 pounds in 90 days or something like that. Or, you know, lose 5% of body fat in 90 days or something like that. And so that 90-day cycle, I swear, is one of the most important keys to the like sprints of life, to where if you want to get to a goal, give yourself 90 days to go all in. Get motivated. Be hungry about it. And I think that's the reason I'm making this video right now, is because I think I'm just now entering another one of those 90-day goals. And I used to think, like, sometimes I'll tell myself, I think I'm entering it. But like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not in the mood for it. I'm not always super hungry. I mean, I do have a good energy about me, but I'm not always super motivated to go after something. But sometimes you need things to align, right? Or you need to have those small wins like I'm talking about. You get those small wins under your belt, and that's what gets you hungry enough to get to the next level. And I'd say over the last couple of days, what I realized is that, actually probably over the last month, is that what I realized is that there's an opportunity, a big opportunity ahead of me. And I'm only getting older. So if I don't take it now, and if I don't take it serious right now, then I might miss something that I could have had. And my biggest regret is that I turn, 35, 40, 50 years old, and I look back and I say, wow, you know who I could have been? You know what I could have accomplished if I would have just put the work in? That's the thing that wakes me up. That's the thing that keeps me up in the morning, or keeps me up at night. Like, I've had so many sleepless nights of sitting in my bed, staring up at the ceiling, thinking like, all right, am I going to figure this out? Am I going to get it done? Or am I going to turn 35 one day and then people will be singing me happy birthday, and I'm going to be thinking like, I didn't do any of the things I said I was going to do. I didn't accomplish a single thing I said I was going to do. And that's my biggest fear right there. And oceans at night. But besides those two things, bro, that's my biggest fear right there. And so even now, just thinking about it, like, it gets me frustrated. Like, I want to get after it right now. Like, I can't even finish this video. I want to get after it. And so, basically, I had started to see there was an opportunity in front of me right now. And And then I realized I need to go back to the things that I know. I know that I need a 90-day sprint. I know that I need to set up some self for my goals. I know that I need to keep, if there's another level for me to reach, I need to put myself around people who are going to have that level. I'm moving to a house in LA with a whole bunch of friends who are just as hungry as me. So I can make sure that I'm staying on my P's and Q's because I'm hanging out with them and, they're motivated. I sleep in one day. They're telling me, hey, you sleeping in yesterday? We hit the gym. I'm like, all right, let me get back after it, And so, like I said, going back to the gym or staying on the gym topic, I had plateaued at 200. And so I know now I want to get to 220. That's kind of always been my goal. 220 to 230 lean, right? And I think that that'd be a good fit for me, like a good size where I feel like I'll finally be comfortable. And I know people are always chasing the next goal. Oh, once you get to 220, you want to hit 230. Once you get to 230, you want to keep going. But I think about me is that, like, I think I'm pretty content. Like, I've set goals so big that I think once I reach them, I'm not going to be the type of person where I need to keep moving the goalposts because my dream is already huge. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I have small goals, and once I hit it, I'm like, well, I should have had a bigger goal. Like, my goals are as big as I can really make them, that I think are reasonable for me, that to me, it's worth putting the time into these goals and the effort. And so, back on my story, so you guys can kind of get the timeline, I realized that my whole life has been a lot of realizations. And that's one thing about me is that since I was young, I keep notes on my phone, meticulous notes. And the reason why I keep notes is because I'm always learning things. Like, I have a page in notes that I started when I was like in 8th grade. It's called Wisdom Notes. And anytime I learn something in life, I learned something when I was real young. I was always really aware of like the people around me and how people moved. And I would like to see what other people were doing that I could admire and I appreciate, and I'd want to be like that, and I'd want to have those attributes for myself or that version of me out there in the future. So I used to keep very meticulous notes on things that I was learning that were wise for me at the time, that I wanted to kind of learn, and I wanted those characteristics. I wanted to embody those characteristics for me. And so even to this day, I'm taking notes on everything. Anytime I learn, I keep my phone on me. I've got notes and notes and notes and notes. Like, if I ever die, Josh, if you're watching this, my best friend, you get this video, you can have all my notes. Like I said, you take all my notes and, bro, go off with it, because in there I got secrets to everything at this point. Like, I'm locked in. Like, I'm as deep as you can go and as many facets as possible. Like, I'm out there. So and the reason why is just because I've stayed hungry about it, and I have really that desire. And I'm telling you this not to brag. I'm telling you guys this because I think from what I've seen is that people who are like me or doing way better than me are people who have that same hunger about them. Like, you go into their room and they have a stack of books in the corner, 6 feet high, just like me. And they're out there asking people who are ahead of them really intricate questions about where they're at, how they got there, why they do what they do. And those are the reasons, those are the things that set you apart. It's just like asking those questions. And over time, like, I think what you want to do is you want to start to give back to people. And I think that's about where I'm at. But at the same time, I also realize that there's a big gap between where I'm at and where I want to be. And I think that's always going to be pretty big because I think that's just how it should be. You should never have a goal that seems obtainable, right? But I'm trying now to close the gap, and I'm trying to close that gap by being hungry about it, by taking my life serious, and by realizing that I don't have forever, by realizing that one day I'm not going to be here, I'm not going to be around, and this might be, well, it is definitely the one opportunity that I ever get, but this moment in my life might be the only moment for me to really do it like this, right? And that's a sobering thought, but I needed that, and so I went out this week. I'm going to a bodybuilding competition, not to compete, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to the competition because I want to go see if I can find a coach, because I want to put myself around people who are competing at the highest level. So I'm going to go there and see if I can find a coach for someone to teach me how to get to that level. Now, I don't want to get into bodybuilding to compete, but I figured if I want to be as big as possible, as fast as possible, because in life, the people who get to the goals are the ones who move with speed. They move with intention and they move with speed. And so for me, I see the speed that I need to take. So why don't I put myself around that group of people the same way I did when I moved to LA, around a group of people who are hungry about it and they're trying to get to those levels. And so, I say all this to say is that there's definitely a lot for me to still accomplish. I literally only have one business. I got one business locked in, still got the real estate bringing me income and stuff like that. And I know I want a lot more. Like, I'm nowhere close to being satisfied. And I think that not being content is one of the reasons that I'm here today is because it's those people who can never really be truly content with anything that they receive. Because it's not that I'm not grateful, because I try to be as grateful as possible. I think I'm one of the most happy people alive. I really have a good control over my mindset when it comes to positivity and thinking positively about my life and where it's at. But I'm nowhere close to where I want to be. But how does that work? How can I stay happy? How can I stay positive? How can I tell people that, like, I'm honestly a genuinely happy person? Well, what does that mean, though? You know what I'm saying? And, like, there's been times in my life where I know for sure I didn't have that. So why do I have that now? It's because I've got those small wins and I've proven to myself that I can do it, right? I haven't proven to myself that I can take it all the way, but I know that I have what it takes to get there, right? And I think that it's really, at the end of the day, it's always going to come back to your mentality. And so the way I started the video, and it's the thing I'm going to keep harping on no matter what, is because that mentality is what gets me through. It's when something horrible goes on in my life. My first year of business, I spent 8 months trying to close on this business. Once I finally found the opportunity to lock in on this business, close, buy it, show up first day, and run a company that I was basically unqualified for, I knew that there was going to be a huge learning curve, but yet I still had to go ahead and see it through, right? And so I put myself in a position where I had to win, right? Because once you put yourself in that position and you've set everything up and you put 8 months behind it, you can no longer you can't just cruise anymore. I had to put myself in a position where I have to learn. I have to rise to the occasion. That right there was something that I knew I had to do for myself, because it wasn't something that was a given, but I knew that that's what I had to do. You have to put yourself in a position where you can force yourself to learn and grow. And that's how people succeed, and they move with speed and they move with intensity, is by putting themselves in a position where they're forced to grow, where they're forced to learn. My first year in business was tough, man. Like, I took every L you could take. And it's crazy because, there's a lesson I learned from this, but, everything that could have went wrong for me definitely did. And that was one of the lessons that I learned, is that, like, I had to write it down in my notes, because, like I said, I'm big on the notes, in that every time something big is coming in my life, I have to take a huge loss. It was like right when I was about to get out of the military, that's when I blew up my stock trading account. I lost everything, and I was about to get out of the military, and I was about to move to Paris, and I was about to just have a big change in my life. The season was changing. And to me, that sign of things changing, that comes from a whole bunch of things going wrong at the same time. Like, something big is coming. I know when everything in my life starts going wrong. Like, it's just been that predictable. Like, everything can go sideways, and I know something big is coming. There's so many lessons on that I could really get into, but just for the sake of time, I'll just continue with, like, where I was at in my story. Is that I bought the business, and in year one, I had another Tesla for this one. Before this one, this is the new 2024. Before this, I had a 2020, and I really like the Model 3. I'm driving it home from work one day. This is kind of like as everything starts to go down. It was like from this moment for the next 3 months, like, of me running that business, like, things were downhill. So basically, I was driving home from work. Someone wasn't paying attention. There was like a car collision. There was like the car started to stack up. The guy behind me ran it through my Tesla. Tesla gets totaled. Then one of my mechanics at the shop had blew an engine of one of our customers. Then after that, there was my shuttle van, which we used to take customers. I had a nice 2016 Mercedes shuttle, and one of my new drivers crashed that van. He totaled it. I got all the pictures. I'll put the pictures in the video so you guys can see. But so I lost my Tesla. Had to pay like $5,000 to fix a customer's engine from a mechanic just not paying attention. Then I have the shuttle van gets crashed. That one's totaled. That's another $20,000 out of my pocket. Then they broke into my shop. My shop got robbed. Luckily they only took a few things, but my shop gets broken into. It almost looked like an inside job because they went straight for the money safe, but they couldn't get inside. Now I have this huge hole in my window that I have to repair back to back on top of the car crash, the Tesla, the shuttle. Then a couple months later, there's another engine that blows up. This one's not our fault, but we have to explain to the customer that they brought it in with a bad engine, but it looks like it's on us. So how we would negotiate it just to stay from outside of court is that basically I paid for half of their engine and they paid for the other half, and we did the installation for free. So another job that I'm taking an L on back to back to back. This whole time, all this is going on, I have an employee who was stealing from me. Thankfully, I was at work one day talking to customers. They told me like, hey, will you guys accept Venmo and stuff like that? I'm like, yeah, sure. But I was like, we never accepted Venmo before though. It's the first time. And they're like, oh, well, you guys usually accept Venmo when I come in. I'm like, really, what do you mean by that? They're like, they show me the account. Turns out one of my employees is just taking Venmos on the side instead of letting the customers pay to the shop. So then I found out one of my key employees, not just anybody, but my key employee who I was leaning on to learn the business model. Because remember, at the time when I purchased the business, I was a mechanic for in the military, but I wasn't running a shop, and I was working on airplanes. I wasn't working on cars. So I understood the financial of the business, but I was by no means a master tech, able to run a shop without the help of all these people that when I bought the business, I thought I would be able to rely on. So of course, I have to go to court for that. That becomes into a whole battle. I lose one of my best guys through it. And then on top of that, the person I hired to replace him turns out to be an alcoholic. So he keeps showing up to work drunk. It took me a couple of weeks to figure it out. But then one day, he had all this, he was real slow in the morning. By the time lunch comes around, he's got all this energy again. He comes back from lunch and he's back to being slow. And right there, I knew. I was like, okay, this guy, he's an alcoholic. I pulled him to the side. He's like, yeah, I'm been in AAA not AAA, been in AA or whatever, and all this stuff. And, I'm like, dang, I just can't catch a break. There was literally at no point in this story, was I ever feeling like I was catching a break. All this stuff happened within 3 months. So I'm losing the Tesla, the shuttle van, 3 employees, not to mention I had to fire, over my first year, I think I fired 12 employees. So in and out of people, some people who were there before me and people who I hired who I had to let go. People in and out, in and out, in and out. And this is all year 1. So you would think, or I don't know exactly what position a lot of people would have been in if they were in the same position as me, at the end of it all. But throughout the whole time, I knew I was taking it to the chin. I knew I was taking L's. I knew that this wasn't a great opportunity, or this wasn't where I was supposed to be at in my life. I thought I was going to be way farther ahead, And so I can't say that it wasn't bothering me, but what I can say is that whenever someone asked me about it, I knew that this wasn't the end for me. And I used to tell my friends when I came home, my roommates, I was like, listen, man, I tell them yeah, I just got robbed, or just got broken into, or the shuttle van just crashed. And every time I stepped away from the business, something bad would happen, And I was like, you know what? I'm not giving up. I spent some time thinking about it. I spent some time by myself, and I always tell them this, I can see the light. It's out there in the distance. It's far in the horizon, but I see it. I see my way out. I know it's there. No matter what, as long as I don't quit, I know I'm going to make it. I know I'm going to make it. I know I'm going to make it. And just things kept happening. Bad. I couldn't catch a break. I kid you not. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong within my first year. And not only within that first year, but all at the end, the last 3 months of 2023 were just hitting me left and right, left hook, right hook. I'm thinking, dang, am I about to lose it all that quick? I couldn't even last 1 year in business. Luckily, because there was a few things on the in-between where there was a few acts of God, I would say, where he kind of guided me to see something or to take some action that I wouldn't have otherwise taken. For example, I was given a free vacation to this event for all mechanics, but it was around the time when all this stuff was happening. So I was thinking, I shouldn't go. But I was talking to some people and they were telling me, you know what, it might be a good opportunity for you to go meet other shop owners. And I was like, you know what, I should probably go. So I went. And when I was there, that's exactly what I did. Is I met other shop owners, and they told me some stuff about, hey, you should get some coaching, and you should get into some groups, and you should do these certain things. After that, I was like, you know what, let me take that advice. And so I kind of started to put all these pieces together, realizing what I should do. From then on, I was like, okay, I know that there's a way out of here, right? Like I told my friends, I see it. I know what I need to do. I just need to keep pushing to get there, and I can't break. I can't let it break me. I can't give up. I can't stop. I can't let off the gas now, right? Because I'm so close. I'm so close to having the things that I wanted. And even though when I say so close, I mean within 3 years more. I'm not saying I'm months away. I was in the thick of it. So who knows when I could have got out. But I did see that I could get, that the possibility of me achieving the things that I've always wanted was real again. And it was real at that moment. Even in the times when everything was bad for me, it was still real in that moment. And so I knew that I couldn't just walk away from it. I had to push harder. And so now, after all that time's gone, I'm now at a position where I'm actually able to start planning like I used to for my bigger plans, getting back to that, getting back to the things that I wanted to do when I was 17 or 18. It's not here yet, and I'm not close yet. Or let me not say that. I haven't put myself in a position where I can just, anything that I want to achieve or go after, it's right there for me. I'm not there yet. But right now I am in a position where if I go after it, there's nothing in my way anymore. and that feels good, right? There are still things I had to achieve. There are still things that I need to learn. There's still money that needs to be made, right? There's still way more levels. Like I'm not even close to where I want to be, but I know for sure that now I've proven to myself enough that if I go after it, right? And this is what's key. This is what's important, is that if I go after it, it's there for me. I can do it. I can achieve it. All I have to do is decide, is to take action, is to put, one foot in front of the other, and to go all in, right? And so that's where I'm at right now. Like I'm still out there hustling every day. I'm still telling myself that if I have dreams, which I haven't even got to actually, chase any of the dreams that I really had, like I'm talking about, like making music and, doing fashion and traveling all over. Like I've done a few things here and there, but I'm nowhere close. I repeat, I'm nowhere close to creating that life that I wanted for myself. Like that life is a dream that I need to create into a reality. And I know the path to get there now, and I'm hungry about it. And at this point, nothing can stop me. And that's why I'm really making this video, is because I want to share with other people that information. I want other people to realize that is what's possible, is that you can create a life for yourself by not giving up and by getting after it no matter what. And I'm not trying to sound cliche or anything like that, but it really does, again, come back to the mindset, because a lot of people think that it's just so, like, you have to be smarter, wiser, faster. And I know for me that no matter what, I'm not going to give up. I'm never going to give up. I'll keep going no matter what, because it's the only thing that matters, right? Is that you don't give up, is that what you put your mind to, you went after it forever. Because even if you don't make it at the end of your life, you get to say that I put my best foot forward, that I never gave up, that I gave everything. At the end of the day, no one can ever take that from you. And that's the pride of life that you can actually get to have, is that you could say, no matter what, no matter who said anything, no matter what I did, no matter what was accomplished, I put my best foot forward and I never gave up on my dreams. I went all in. And not a lot of people can say that. I think most people can't say that. Most people live their lives full of regret. And me, I can't do that. I can't live my life with regret. I want to go after it. I want to be hungry about it. I want to put myself around people who are hungry about it. I want to achieve the things that people would say are impossible. It's early for me. I'm just getting started. I'm just now, that light I saw on the horizon, I'm just getting close to it, No matter whatever it takes, I'll do it. I'll make it happen. I will get to where I want to go. I will achieve my dreams. I will set an example for the people around me, and I will prove to myself that version of myself that I thought I could be when I was young, that when I was 17 or 18, that Renaissance man, that version of me who I could create, whose life I could design and build and make into a reality, that person is who I will become one day. And I will be that person, and I can't be stopped. So, thank you.